Welcome back to the Norris Benchwarmers podcast. I'm your host, Emperor Colton Smith, and I'm here joined by Jedi Master Josh Northcutt, who hasn't watched a lick of Star Wars in his life. I'm also joined by Padawan Ben Miller. And what are you, Garrett?
Just call me Jar Jar Binks. I know you want to.
All right. Well, welcome back to the Norris Benchwarmers, an early edition. So early, I did not do my hair. So we have just opted to wear the hood today. We are, I guess I could have said Bill Belichick as well. You know, that's the vibes for this morning. But speaking of which, we're going to talk about our NFL picks here. Give our picks just before Thursday night football. So let's talk a little bit about last week. Josh, you have already said all that needed to be said about the Bengals. I do not want to add anything to that masterpiece. So what were some other things you saw around the league?
Obviously, for me, a little bit biased and homerness, but I had to point out that, Mr. Harbaugh and the Chargers bolted to victory in 22-10 over the Raiders. And J.K. Dobbins, though, man, it was good to see him out there running healthy and looking healthy. So I'm excited for seeing that. And then the other headline, I think, has to be the 49ers. Christian McCaffrey, no Christian McCaffrey, it doesn't matter. That offense just schemes really, really well. It'd be nice to have an offensive coordinator / head coach who knew how to scheme people open. Go ahead, Ben.
All right. So a game that stood out to me were the Chiefs and the Ravens. I mean, I was looking forward to see what the Chiefs offense would do with Xavier Worthy. I was expecting him to show up with his speed and those explosive plays to show. So, and they did. So Xavier Worthy, he's a hell of a player, and he's going to be good in years to come.
Yeah, absolutely. Right off the bat, I mean, first drive, right? Or at least their first touchdown was Xavier Worthy at jet
I believe
sweep.
so, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And when I saw that, I was like, oh, boy. And you had him on your bench, or you have? Yeah.
I have him on my bench.
Garrett had him on the bench and lost by about 20 points.
But, I mean, it's so funny how we sort of see this process repeat from last year, right? Where the Chiefs get a receiver in late round one, and it looks like he's just going to turn into an absolute powerhouse of a wide receiver.
Yes. Yeah, it's just like they just have a knack. I mean, really, the recipe is just find a fast receiver, and they can make it work. So
find a guy that runs a sub 4.2, and then just draft him when everybody else is just like, oh, we don't actually want this really fast guy. You guys can have him.
Okay, so I was looking at my phone because I was going to go ahead and pull up since we have it now. Let's get a little fantasy recap from week one.
Yeah.
All right. So at the top of the fantasy recap, we have Kyle Pitt's legacy season right here. They beat Metcalf's Mighty Militia 137 to 125. Cup My Life into Breeze's. I love that one. And you have Cup, right?
Yeah, I got
both.
both.
I knew you had Breeze. I didn't remember getting Cup, but you beat Classic Phil by quite the margin, 155 to 116. The Presidential Powerhouse 156 over the Chinry 20 73.6. Yeah, he lost McCaffrey maybe for a couple weeks. Poor Chinry. He did win a Super Bowl a couple years ago, I promise. But we're rough times for that team. Anywho, the Trades talented team, they beat Fight 109 to 94. And Ben in the first week, 109-97 over the Deshaun team.
Yes, sir.
The Deshaun team. And I was trying to see who went off for you. The Jameson Williams was the big get for you.
Yes.
You didn't necessarily expect him to get those 24 points, but
right.
I was very mad that you got him because I wanted to get him.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
And it's just quite all right.
Yeah.
But he's gonna be good for you. I think. I was really high on him coming in. If he even gets to 3/4 of what he was at Bama, he's going to be a threat. But
yeah, for sure.
Moving on from the fantasy, any other stuff you saw from the week?
Saquon Barkley in your call.
I saw him.
Yeah.
I mean. Honestly, it's obviously week one, so we don't all want to jump to conclusions. But I mean, he had to be the offensive player of the week, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Two touchdowns, 3 touchdowns,
three touchdowns.
Three touchdowns. Yeah. So
Garrett would know I taunted him every time.
Yeah, I know. Every single time he scored.
Barkley stealing the show in Brazil, but Jared Love.
Jared?
Yeah, I know I messed that up, man. I'm so early in the morning. Anyway, Love stealing the headlines with his injury. It'll be interesting to see if the Packers can hold on and stay in as a contender with
With-
Love being out.
with
Absolutely.
Malik Willis.
Yeah, that's
Oh man, that's
It's
gonna be tough.
it's gonna be a football game to watch. I want to see this guy behind an offense.
Yeah.
Well, taking a look at our standings from last week, me and Ben are knotted at 3-3. Josh sits at 2-4, and it all came down to the Niners versus the Jets. Me and Ben both picked the Niners in that one. Josh took the Jets, and now he may have to compensate for a lost point. So we'll see how that all plays out. The points are even there at the top, but I don't know. We might have some different opinions this week. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
But anywho, it was a time to get into. We were ready to get into our picks.
yeah. Let's get into the
All right,
picks.
man.
All right. So starting with Thursday night football there on Amazon Prime, we have the Buffalo Bills going up against divisional opponent Miami Dolphins, which is maybe one of the better Thursday night football games I can think of in a while. So I'm excited to watch that. I have Miami taking this one. I feel the Dolphins, I feel the Bills kind of struggled against, or I know the Bills struggled against the Cardinals of all teams. Dolphins had a slow start against Jacksonville, a much better opponent than that of Arizona. So give me the Dolphins here.
For myself, I'm going Dolphins as well. I mean, overall, I feel like it's going to be a great offensive matchup between Tua and Josh Allen. I feel like the difference will be Tyreek Hill. I think he makes a play late, so I'm going with Miami.
For me, it's the Dolphins. I picked them to win the AFC East, so I can't really go against them in week 2 with being completely healthy. But Josh Allen running the ball and passing the ball will definitely keep Buffalo in the game. So I'm looking for it to be very close, as you guys mentioned. But the struggles with Arizona doesn't make sense to me, so give me the Dolphins.
All right.
I got a question for
Garrett's
this.
got a question,
I do
yeah.
have a question for this series. Obviously, echoing what Ben said, I think this game is going to hinge heavily on quarterback play. So
Yep.
I guess my question for you all is, what do you see as more realistic? Does Tua throw for 250 plus yards, or does Josh Allen rush for 100 yards in this game? What's more realistic, or do both happen?
Well, I'm starting Tua, so I'm a little biased. I'm gonna go with I'd probably go with both. However, if I had to pick one, I would probably go with Tua getting 250 plus yards, because
Definitely.
that Bills defense is a little cooked. I mean, Kyler Murray had say
Tyler.
it, there it is.
He's in your head, man. He's rent free.
Yeah, rent free. But yeah, I mean, letting the Cardinals have such a start like that, I think the Dolphins could have a start like that and then just not let off the gas pedal. So yeah, give me Tua for plus 250.
For me, with Josh Allen potentially being banged up a little bit, I don't know if he's gonna want to run as much. So I'd go to 250 is way too easy for that guy.
Yeah, I would go with Tua as well. I mean, in just the last couple of years, Tua and Tyreek Hill, they've been arguably the best quarterback and wide receiver duo. So I feel like that's going to be the difference in this game. So I'm riding with that Dolphins offense.
Fair enough. Sounds like a clean sweep all around.
Yep. So, looking at Fox's game of the week, we have the Saints going up against the Cowboys. Saints coming off a performance that made them look like the best team in the league, and they wish they could play the Panthers each and every week.
Yep.
The Cowboys also coming off an outstanding performance against a great defense in the Browns. Apparently the best offense, but yet to be
Man,
seen.
if Watson can get there,
Oh,
I feel
he's
like
not
they
getting
can.
there, buddy.
I know.
He should be benched,
Those-
but that's a different story.
Yeah, that is a different story. Give me that Jameis Winston. Anyways, so I got the Cowboys in this one. I think the Saints might be better than I anticipated, but they also played the Panthers, so I can't really base that off of that. So
For me, I'm going to try to make up a point here because I feel like you both are going to go Cowboys opening at home. So I'm going to take the Saints. Derek Carr looked very impressive last week, 19 of 23, 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. But congratulations, by the way, Dak Prescott, you got paid. And that was probably after the Cowboys watched Shedeur Sanders and what he did on Saturday. It was like, you know what? We don't want that guy as a franchise of our team anymore. So congrats, though, on Dak getting paid and becoming the face of quote-unquote America's team.
I'm going Cowboys in this matchup. I mean, last week it was a great offensive performance against that really tough Browns team, like you said, Colton. But I feel like the defense and Micah Parsons is going to stop the Saints offense. So I'm going with the boys.
boys, yeah, I've never lived in a time where they were an America's team, but I guess there was a time. Looking at CBS's game of the week, we have the
Chiefs.
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 All right.
Chiefs.
Looking at Sunday Night Football.
Actually, you know what? I have a question for everybody here.
Okay.
I'm
What's
going
up?
to go ahead and be
All
that guy. Let's talk about it we'll give it like 2 minutes.
Okay.
What would it take for the Bengals to win on Sunday?
Rush defense.
Yeah, rush defense. Simple as that.
There's a little bit more to it. If you wanted a real answer, it would take first of all, intensity, just from both sides of the field. It would take Joe Burrow throwing more than 4 passes over 5 yards.
Yep.
I think that's what you said. It's going to take this team not looking like me at 8 a.m. It's got to look like they are about to compete for a Super Bowl. And I don't see them flipping that switch from losing. Like, you are literally at the bottom of the totem pole after losing the Patriots, and you think you can just turn around and beat the best team in the NFL?
Actually, you know, the funny thing is, though, it is the Bengals. So, yeah,
It is
I think they can do it.
Yeah.
Of all teams,
there's no team that plays down the competition and up the competition like the Bengals.
This is
but
true.
I think what you said best, outside the rush defense, which is obviously the most important thing, is trying to find a way to stop or contain Pacheco and Mahomes. And, you know, P. Ryan, guaranteed touchdown. But the mindset of you have to start better. You talk about the 8 a.m. start joking around, but it's the Bengals have to start better. They can't go 3 straight series and the wide receiver not catch 1 pass. Yes. You have to start the game better. So that falls on Zach Taylor and the plays that he draws up when you're talking about the first 10 to 15 plays that are schemed in practice and planned ahead of time. You got to start hot. You can't fall down in Arrowhead. So hopefully they get the ball first, they go down and score, and they get a stop, and then we can go from there.
I have one question. During that game, I was working during it.
Mm-hmm.
So was there a lot of screen passes? Or like just quick outs?
Yeah. No, it was almost like he was afraid to throw outs.
Okay.
He could only throw to the middle of the field, really. It was really weird. But I don't want to cause any fear, but more and more people look at it more and more. I don't think that wrist is healthy.
I don't get what all the quotes in the all season were about. Like, oh, he's throwing harder than he ever has. Like,
right, yeah.
I don't know. It says
maybe he threw a little too hard in preseason,
and that's why he was dialed back. Maybe, I don't know, but we already passed the 2 minute, I'm sure. So let's move down to Sunday Night Football, where we have 2 young quarterbacks, the Chicago Bears going up against, Caleb Williams and Chicago Bears. That's what I was trying to set up, but you know what time it is. And CJ Stroud and the Houston Texans. I mean, I think the bigger question of this game is, does Caleb Williams get over 100 pass yards?
I don't know. Remember, he was going to break the record.
I thought we were breaking records over there.
I mean,
he did sure break a record.
I mean, yeah, it definitely was shocking to see that offense perform how it did against Tennessee. But I feel like as time progresses, though, they'll find the rhythm on offense. So I'm not really concerned at all.
Lost your 9th overall pick too.
Odunze's hurt?
Odunze's hurt.
Oh.
That's not good.
Oh, man.
I mean, you still have Keenan Allen and DJ Moore, so many quarterbacks would like that problem. But
what was his injury? I did not even hear about it.
From what I remember, I think it was like an ankle injury.
Oh, okay.
Hopefully, nothing too serious.
Something with the lower extremities. I'm not entirely sure off the top of my head, but I remember seeing that when analyzing my fantasy roster last night.
Oh.
After going through and saying you're interested in everybody that ever existed.
Was unaware that sent out a message to the team that player was on that said I was interested in them.
Oh yeah, Scared, my favorite fantasy name.
But Ben, your pick in the game though?
Oh yeah, I'm going Texans. I mean, coming off a big win over the Indianapolis Colts. I mean,
who look a lot more legit than they did last year.
Oh, for sure. Like coming into this year, I knew they were going to take that step forward. And CJ Stroud, he obviously showed up along with those weapons on the outside along with Joe Mixon. So I feel like they're going to continue that momentum against the Bears defense. So give me Houston.
I like Texans obviously at home. The fact that the Bears trailed 17-10 at half, scored 0 touchdowns by their offense, only scored via block punt and INT. That is not going to happen versus the Texans. So not only do I think Texans win, I think Texans win big. And you've mentioned Joe Mixon. I'd just like to add that he had 30 carries, which I don't know if he ever had, under Zach Taylor for 159 yards and a touchdown. Meanwhile, Stephon Diggs, 6 catches, 33 yards, 2 touchdowns. New guys coming into a very talented team already and making an impact. This Texans team is very scary.
For sure.
Yep. How did we let the Texans leapfrog us in AFC contention?
CJ Stroud.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
Anywho.
Question.
Oh yeah.
Does Joe Mixon rush for 100 yards in this game?
I'll go no.
I would say
No.
I do like that Bears defense. I don't think they won't get the turnovers like they did against Will Levis. They won't get those turnovers. So, but
What have I done?
I think straight up anime character looking. But yeah, no, I think the Bears defense will probably hold the rush game much better than who they play week 1, Colts. The Colts got a good defensive line.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, he's not facing 8 in the box like he did here in Cincinnati,
True.
where they're just like, hey, you're going to not run the ball on us. So, I mean, I'll go no.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't surprise me. Me and some other buddies were having a conversation. Can you imagine what this city's going to do if Joe Mixon leads the league in rushing?
Oh my gosh.
Zach Taylor ought to be fired on the spot, dog. Anyways,
C-Rant.
let's see Rand for more context.
Yes.
Let's move on to the final matchup we're talking about here, and that is Monday Night Football, the Bird Bowl, or what'd you call it the other day, Garrett? The
You called it the Bird Bowl.
Yeah, that was you. Yeah.
no, you called it like something else.
Did I?
Anyways, he doesn't remember. So it's
8
the
o'clock.
Atlanta Falcons, is it? And the Philadelphia Eagles on ESPN. Eagles.
Yeah, the Falcons weren't as good as what we thought they were.
Oh,
It's only week 1. Kirk Cousins looks a little scared in the pocket, so I'm going to take the Eagles defense alone winning this game, and Eagles will be able to score touchdowns unlike Pittsburgh was able to.
Got your Pennsylvania teams mixed up.
Yeah, I'm taking the Eagles as well. I mean, obviously, it was a great offensive performance from that Eagles offense in Brazil against Green Bay, especially with Saquon. I feel like the run game's going to show up, and I got the Eagles.
I love the idea, though, of Bijan Robinson finally getting touches. 23 of them. Very good. Problem is, London and Pitts combined for 5. That cannot happen. You got to be able to get those weapons some balls, and it sure would be nice if, Roma Dunze was there. But,
Oh, he would have been hurt.
well, different reality.
different reality
Yeah.
for sure. Well, at least they have Michael Penix. So, Garrett, you got any questions for this game?
So obviously the Eagles secondary got torched last week by Jaden Reed.
A wee bit.
A wee bit, some would say. My question for you guys is, do the Eagles shore up those mistakes in the secondary? And follow-up question, if they do, how many interceptions does Kirk Cousins throw in this game?
I'll put the over-under at 2.5.
I'll take the under. I'll take the under on that. I won't say they shore things up, but I do think Atlanta might be a little bit smarter with it and decide to run the ball a little bit more and
They should.
keep Philadelphia off the field.
You know who they have at running back, Josh?
Yeah, Bijan Robinson. Very
Yeah.
good. I just mentioned him earlier. Wake up.
Hey,
I was just reiterating your point. They have probably one of the best running backs in the league, and last year they just didn't really use him all that much. So frustrating.
Yeah. Well, it's like I learned in college football. The more you run, the less interceptions you throw. So that's an idea there for the Falcons. But
Ben, quick thoughts on it?
Yeah, I feel like the Falcons, they just need to hand the ball off to B.J. Robinson for sure.
So I was going to ask a question. It's coming to my mind. Any other games around the league?
The one
That you're looking at.
Yeah, the one that I was just keeping an eye on that I'm kind of looking forward to is Detroit and Tampa.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
After watching both teams
yes.
week one, it seems they both like to sling it. Both defenses are okay, but they're new in the secondary, so we'll be interested to see how they bounce back on that, and see if Baker Mayfield can keep making Cleveland taking
Yeah,
Deshaun
they
Watson.
might be the best offense with Baker Mayfield if
For
they
sure.
have him right now.
So
but
that
they
yeah,
don't, so.
Yeah, so that would be my game.
Yeah, I'm with you right there, Josh. I mean, obviously, it was a great offensive performance by both teams. I feel like it's going to be a great matchup between Baker Mayfield and Jared Goff. So, yeah, looking forward to it.
Whoever thought we'd be hearing that like 3 years ago?
Yeah,
Yeah.
no
Yeah, no
kidding.
kidding.
Yeah.
What a way. I am curious. I saw conversations, and it's not that I believe them. There's conversations starting that Baker's top 10 QB.
I mean, that's not surprising. at all.
I don't, and yeah, the more I think about it, the more I'm like,
We're
I
gonna
can
need
see
that
it.
tier list.
We need to do a tier list.
Yeah.
We absolutely need to do a tier list
Yeah.
because it's like
I can't
without
get in
having
there.
them all. Yeah, I have them right outside. I think.
I would say top 12.
Well, I think this year will definitely. He has a big chance because he has a very tough schedule. If that team makes the playoffs, absolutely, I think he might be. He would be a top 10 QB
For
But,
sure.
long season to go though. Was a great start though. Is there any closing thoughts you all have? Want to get out? Nothing about the Bengals. We've already had enough about that.
No. I'm looking forward to another week. Hopefully, maybe the Bengals can surprise us, and I'll eat my shorts on Monday.
Yeah,
very
but
excited.
I don't see that happening. So yeah, that's gonna be tough. And the Browns Jaguars game was another one.
Oh
Both-
yeah.
Both teams kind of obviously started 0-1.
Mhm.
One team looked really, really bad, and quarterback keeps getting charges brought up. Another one yesterday. Meanwhile,
Oh, God.
Trevor Lawrence
Yeah.
didn't look right. I don't know what's going on in Jacksonville. I'm a very big believer in Trevor Lawrence. I thought he's a top 10 quarterback. I wanted Trevor Lawrence over Joe Burrow, so that's a whole different conversation.
Yeah, let's not go into
But
that.
the Jags and Dougie P, they got to figure it out because they should not have lost that game to the Dolphins.
Hey, you know who they got back in T-Law up now, right?
Yeah, Mac Jones. Don't you start this conversation too.
I don't know why you're so excited for that, but okay. All right, let's go ahead and wrap up the show, though. A great first week in NFL. Excited to see how our picks go next week. And thank you all for listening. Be sure to leave a like, hit the subscribe button. We will be giving away some tickets at 50 subscribers, so be sure you tune in for that. And thank you all for coming on to the show. Thank you, Garrett, for all you do in the director's chair, working hard over there. And thank you, Bill Farrow and NK Media Services, for all that you do. That's all I got. Peace.